Hi, this is Mr. Max. So I'm looking at the grade 10 test that I gave about algebraic expressions. So let's just dive right into it. The first question says you're supposed to simplify. You multiply everything outside the bracket with everything inside the bracket. But in the second instance, you must be careful since you're multiplying a negative with a negative, and if you do that, the sign will change. In this case, it changes to a positive 6a. So at the end of the day, you have 6a plus 6a minus 12 plus 3. So this one here is 12a minus 9. The second one is a binomial expression. So you have a plus b, and that is a plus b. And if you multiply that out, you should have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. I hope you still know how to do that. Otherwise, you have to go, and that is a square, and that is ab, and that's another ab, and that's another b square. All right, so in the middle, you have got two like terms. The same applies to the next question. So you have got 6x squared, that 3x times that 2x. Then you have plus 15xy, is that 3x times that 5y. And then you have negative 4xy, alphabetical order, that minus 2y times the positive 2x. And then you have minus 10y squared, that negative 2y times that positive 5y. Now, at the end of the day, you have got 6x squared, then you have plus 11xy minus 10y squared. Question 2, you have got three fractions here, and you are supposed to write them in their simplest form. So I hope you remember that as far as these fractions are concerned, they have a common denominator, and the common denominator is 12. 2 goes into 12 6 times, so 6x come on top. 3 goes into 12 4 times, so plus 20x, and 4 goes there 3 times, and that is going to be minus 21x. So at the end of the day, you have 26x minus 21x all over 12, and this is simplifying too. In the simplest form, I can just write the answer on the answer space, which is 5 over 12x. Right, when you do this one, put the expressions in brackets, very important. You'll be multiplying this one here by 5, and you'll be multiplying this one here by 2, since the LCM here is 10, okay? So the LCM here is 10. So 10 is my LCM. I've got 5 in bracket. I have 2x minus 1. Perhaps just write it neatly. You have to be a bit careful here. 2x minus 1. And then you have negative 2. Okay. And then you have 3x plus 1. You have to be careful once you distribute everything out. In this case, it becomes 10x. And this case becomes minus 5. In this case, it becomes minus 6x. In this case, it becomes minus 2 all over 10. So 10x minus 6x, that is 4x, and negative 5 minus 2, that is minus 7 all over 10. Final answer. All right, the next question, let me just clean this up. Okay. So the first one, you're supposed to factorize. You've got two terms, And when you factorize two terms, you take out a common factor, or it's either the difference of two squares. In this particular case, it's just two terms, and it only the term or 2 and y is common, and you take it outside the bracket, and you're going to be left with x minus 3z, because 2y, if you divide here by 2y and you divide here by 2y, that's what you're going to get inside the bracket. But that 2y is not something that you throw away. You're factorizing, and it needs to be outside the bracket. So basically, you are creating from two terms to one term. This is a quadratic trinomial, and I hope that you have your methods of factorizing quadratic trinomials. In this particular case, I'll factorize to trial and error. In any case, I know that if you multiply 25 times negative 36, you have negative 900. And negative 45 times 20 gives you this answer, and negative 45 plus 20 gives you negative 25. What is this answer here in the middle? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead then, and I'm going to sort of write that as 25y squared. Then I have minus 45y plus 20y minus 36. It's all up to you which one you want to write first here. Okay, when I factorize here, 5y is a common factor, leaving me with 5y minus 9. And here I have a common factor of plus 4, and I'll also have 5y minus 9. So in a nutshell, this is 5y plus 4 in its own bracket, and in its the other bracket is 5y minus 9, which is a common one, and we write it only once. It doesn't matter which bracket you write first. When you look at the next question, clearly there are two terms, and you should be able to recognize that 4 is a square of 2, and 25 is a square of 5. So this is the difference of two squares. So in the answer, you'll have 2x minus 5y as one bracket, and the other bracket will be 2x. Now this time the sign becomes a positive. This you're going to factorize by grouping, since you have got four terms, and the grouping terms have to be even. And the only thing that these two terms have in common is the 7, the m. So I'll have 7c plus 6d. I must get the same bracket here. In this particular case, you have minus n square as a common. You will have 7c plus 6d. Again, if you multiply out, you're going to get what is on top there. 7c plus 6d is written once because it's a common factor to all those two terms, and everything outside the m minus n square is written on its own. This one is not so tricky, or it's not so easy to see. However, a half is a common factor, and when you take out a half, you're going to have, there are 4 halves into 2. Now, we're not particularly done, because inside the bracket, we still have the difference of two squares, and you should be able to see that difference of two squares. So at the end of the day, a half is outside, then x minus 2, and then x plus 2. You have to factorize completely. Then the part F, you have 18y squared minus 98x squared. Those x squares is giving you a hint, but you can't generally say, just by looking at it, this is the difference of two squares. But there is something you can do with 18 and 98, and that's you can extract 2. Half of 18 is 9. Half of 98 is 49, right? So now inside, you should be able to see that you have the difference of two squares, because 9 is a square number and 49 is a square number, and y square and x square are squares. So at the end of the day, you'll have 2, and that is 3 y minus 7x, and then 3y plus 7x. That is the answer there. When you do this multiplication, so I'm going to multiply 11 times 21. 11 times 21 is 231. And I'm going to look for two numbers. If I multiply them, they give me 231. And if I add them, they give me negative 40. And those numbers there are nothing but negative. They both have to be negative in any case. They are negative 7 and negative 33. All right, if you add, you get negative 40. If you multiply those two, you get negative 231. So the numbers I want is negative 7 and negative 33. All right, so again, trial and error. You should be familiar with the method of factorizing quadratic trinomials. So now that I have those two, I can now write this as 11t squared. Now here's the thing, the ones in the middle I'm going to split. So I'm going to take minus 33 because it kind of goes nicely with the 11. And then the minus 7t kind of goes nice with the 21. Again, it's totally up to you if you want to change them. That means the 7t first and then the 33t. So 11t is a common factor here, then t minus 3. And here minus 7 is a common factor. You'll also have t minus 3. T minus 3 is a common factor, and 11t minus 7 is the other bracket. The last question, and I put an asterisk there, is you're supposed to factorize these algebraic fractions. Please, there's nothing to do with long division. This on top, the numerator is nothing but the difference of two squares, or between two squares. The denominator you need to factorize. Okay, so on top you'll have x minus 4 and x plus 4. That's our numerator. Our denominator, well, I'll do some side work. So I'm going to multiply 2 times negative 4. That gives me negative 8. And I'm looking for two numbers. If I multiply them, give you negative 8. And if I add them, give you 7. Well, the one number must be positive and one number must be negative because the negative is here. So 8 will be positive and negative 1 is negative. So the number is 8 and negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to do that under here just so I can have space. So I have my expression 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. And the two numbers I said was negative 1 and 8. So I have 2x squared. So again, it's like the previous. I'm going to have plus 8x minus 1x, all right? And then obviously minus 4. Right, so if I was to take out the common factor by grouping 2x here, I'll have x plus, and 2 goes there, 4. Take out negative 1 because negative is common. Inside you'll have x plus 4. Eventually, 2x minus 1 comes in your own bracket, and x plus 4 is written on its own. So 2x minus 1, and I have 2x minus 1, and in the other bracket, I will have x plus 4, that is x plus 4. It should be one term divided by one term, and once you do that, you can actually go ahead and you can cancel out common factors. So x plus 4 and x plus 4 cancel, and I'm left with, and that is the final answer, I'm left with x minus 4 all over 2x minus 1. And that is the answer for that part. Good luck with your studies.